everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Night Legacy. Tonight we've got URtG Delver versus Mono Black Helm combo. On the left we have Alan playing this URtG Delver list, so this is basically blue-red Delver, as you would know it without the expressive iteration, of course, that card being banned and replaced by Predict. Choosing a card name, target player puts the top card in their graveyard, then you draw 2 cards if it's the right card. So you usually know what the top card of your library is, especially in a Delver list with the Brainstorms and things, maybe the Dragon's Rage Channeler, the Surveil, leaving the card back on top. It's a good way to know and get to draw 2 cards. I've seen people running things like Chartacourse as well. That is not the case here. I think this deck is leaning more heavily on the Dragon's Rage Channeler and the Murktide Regent, as well as one of the better removal spells, Unholy Heat, being able to deal 6 damage to target creature or planeswalker if it has Delirium. Otherwise, this is a fairly straightforward Delver deck. It wants the tempo to be in its favor, being able to attack with a creature, protect the creature, and make sure that you are basically 1 turn off of ever being able to do whatever you want. And yes, this does feature green in it in the form of the Tropical Island. And the only card that does require a green pip is Minsc and Boo out of the sideboard. And yes, it is good enough to splash green for the entire reason of the deck. On the right, we have Ali playing a new deck. Instead of Mono Black Control, this is Mono Black Helm combo. This is basically an all-in hyper combo strategy on the interaction between a card like Dathi Voidwalker or the Leyline of the Void, which removes your opponent's graveyard from the game, not allowing anything to go into the graveyard. It all goes into exile. And the interaction of this card, Helm of Obedience, which tells you to put cards into the graveyard until you hit X amount of cards, but the cards aren't going into the graveyard at all. They're just getting exiled. And so this actually exiles the entire deck. When your opponent goes to draw their next card on their next turn, they lose the game because they don't have a deck. There's obviously a little bit of control aspect here. Ali's running the 4 Urza Saga package with the Retrofitter Foundry and Shadow Spear. It also helps you get Chrome Moxes, and then a little bit of removal with the Sheoldred's Edict and the Opposition Agent, just because it's really good at controlling your opponents from being able to do what they want. It also runs Karn the Great Creator because it helps you find your combo, but can also help you win the game. It'll be very interesting to see how this match goes. Combo is usually pretty good against tempo, since you are trying to do more than one thing in a turn, and tempo can basically only deal with maybe 1-2 things at maximum, trying to keep you off the back foot. So it'll be interesting to see how these decks interact. All right, now that we know a little bit more about each of these decks, let's see how these matches are going to play out, shall we? Looks like Ali has pre-game effects, dropping that Leyline of the Void into play, taking away Alan's graveyard before the game even starts. And yes, this is uncounterable. He was not casting it, he just had it in play. Ali fires off that Thoughtseize 4 of in his deck, writing down everything. There's a Daze, Force of Will, looks like a Murktide Regent Ponder. So what are we taking, Ali? Couldn't fire off that Daze since he didn't even have a land in play. Ali trying to decide what the best course of action here is. Has that Murktide Regent too. You know, I almost wonder if I take the Daze here. Takes the Ponder. Allows him to keep all his counter magic. Plays a Chrome Mox and puts the Leyline of the Void under it since he had an extra in his hand, kind of a dead card. So Ali being able to make 2 mana here. Alan kind of having a bad hand. Not too much action since the Ponder is gone. Just plays the Mishra's Bauble, allowing him to peek at the top card of Ali's library. Gets to draw an extra card on the next turn. But a lot of permission, so Ali is going to have to kind of decide, like, what am I going to throw away here? Looks like he just threw down an Agadeem's Awakening and passed the turn. Delver of Secrets for Alan off the top. And passes the turn back. So that, I apologize about the autofocus. We are working on it for the next set of recordings. So another Agadeem's Awakening. Putting it down, not taking the damage. That Murktide Regent definitely stranded in Alan's hand. Alan not having a graveyard here. We're seeing a Brainstorm, which is going to turn on the Delver of Secrets. Of course, revealing an instant or sorcery, turns it into a 3/2 with flying. Very good card for 1 mana. Printed all the way back in Innistrad, still a powerhouse in most of the formats. I don't know if it's played in Standard right now. I know it got reprinted in one of the Innistrad sets. That looks like a Shieldred's Edict, sacrificing a creature, a non-token creature or a creature token. Alan has all of this permission, decides to pitch the Murktide Regent. Totally makes sense to me. A worthless card to have in his hand. Ugh. All right, Shieldred's Edict is out. We're seeing a Dark Ritual for 3 mana. It looks like the Helm's coming here. There's 4 mana. The Daze is not going to help here. We're seeing a Brainstorm to try and look for not Daze. Hoping for Force of Will. Ali having 2 mana backup, so even if there's a double Daze here, it's not really going to matter because Ali can just pay for it, wait the turn, and then activate the Helm on the next turn. You do have to, I'm almost positive, I've never played the Helm combo myself before, but I'm almost positive that you have to pay in at least 1 mana into it so that you have X cards, so you have put X cards or creatures into the graveyard. Oh, you know what? Maybe you don't because, well, you put 0 cards into the graveyard. I actually don't know. I'd have to ask at least a level 1 judge because you're not putting any cards in the graveyard. So do you need to put 0 cards in the graveyard? We see the days paid for here. Well, I guess this is going to answer my question right now. Looks like Ali did not activate that Helm for 0, so looks like he's going to his turn. Activates for 1, and there it is. So yes, at least as far as Ali understands it, and he's the player of the deck, you have to at least activate it for 1 card to try and go into the graveyard, because it doesn't, and then you just mill the deck. So we're going to game 2 here. And you can go ahead and write in the comments if I'm wrong. That's fine. I always admit when I'm wrong. Ali having that excellent opener with the Leyline of the Void coming into play. A Ponder from Alan setting up the top of the deck. He liked the card, so he left him there. Seeing an Ancient Tomb. 2 mana is going to get a Chalice on 1 coming in from out of the sideboard. A very good play. We're seeing a Force of Negation. Alan says, no, I need my cantrips. Please stop. A Wasteland for that Ancient Tomb. And a Pass Turn. So a Thoughtseize and a Brainstorm. This is an excellent way to hide cards since Brainstorm says that you get to put cards back on top of your deck in any order. It doesn't actually matter if they were in your hand before or not. So you can take those very valuable cards and hide them on the top of your deck and present a hand that's kind of poopy to Thoughtseize. Taking the Lightning Bolt and going to turn 2 Brainstorms. That's kind of ridiculous. And we're seeing a Dragon's Rage Channeler, one of the better cards. Chrome Mox into Dothy Voidwalker, the creature version of Leyline of the Void. So I am not 100% certain how those two effects interact. I'm not sure if the player whose graveyard it is gets to choose where cards are getting exiled. But theoretically, Dothy could get sacrificed and you could cast a card that is getting exiled if you really wanted to without paying its mana cost. But it looks like Ali is going for the strategy, the aggro strategy here, loading up the Dothy with the Shadow Spear, giving it +1/+1, trample and lifelink. Crashing in for 4, although it's going to catch a Lightning Bolt here. Not a whole lot of action. We just saw, I think, a Brainstorm resolve. There was a bunch of triggers. A Lightning Bolt discarded, or not discarded, but And blew up the Dothy Voidwalker. A Ponder here. Alan trying to decide what's going to be the best course of action. Drawing that Dragon's Rage Channeler, slapping down another Dragon's Rage Channeler, and passing turn. A land pass. Land into Minsc and Boo. Plussing up, crashing in here, down to 8. And Ali has the Helm. And it's in play. It's all good. And Alan flips his deck, and that is the game. Wow. And there you have it. Ali having that combo piece. You know, it looked like Alan was really coming back from that one, but all you needed was an uninterrupted combo, and that'll steal the game every time. So as we saw there, the dedicated combo strategy kind of taking over the game. And even though Alan was starting to get his legs back under him in that second game, Ali just ripping that Helm off the top wins him the game outright. So Ali takes it 2-0. Thanks as always for stopping by. I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you're still watching. If this is your first time here, please consider giving this channel a like and a subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our cool new content. And if you are returning, thanks. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. If you're looking for any of these deck lists, they are always in the description of the channel, or rather the description of the video. And if you are looking for a visual deck list like the one that you saw in this video, those are going to be on our Instagram channel. And there's a link to the Instagram in the description of this video right below where this is playing. Thanks to both Collector Legion and Spellhold Games. We appreciate both of you, and thank you for allowing us to record. And that's going to do it for us for this video. As always, I am Eugene, and this is Tuesday Night Legacy. We'll see you next time.